Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the northwest of England. My name is Sam and I am a stay-at-home mum who faffs around with wire. As you can see here, I wanted to make some snowflake earrings and I just got out my wire, faffed around and faffed around and faffed around, couldn't make it work. So I just continued to try, and this is some of the results. You know, have you got one of these when you're trying to work something out? And bits of this going on and all that kind of thing. So, but this is what we're going to make today. And here we go. Beautiful snowflake earrings. I'm going to do them in silver because I think, you know, the copper ones are quite nice too. You can make them in copper if you wanted to. You can make them in different gauges of wire. This is 0.8. This is 1mm. It's up to you. So I'm going to clear all these failed attempts away and we'll make these. So I'll just take you to the table and we'll have a look at what you need. Not very much today. So let's have a look to make these little beauties, which sit perfectly in the ears for the festive season. Aren't they pretty? Or you could make it into a pendant if you wanted to. You could wrap beads inside. You can do whatever you want, but I'm just going to show you the frame today. So you're going to need some 1mm, 18 gauge. I'm using bare copper wire, which has been silver plated. Use whatever you like. You can also use 0.8 if you want to make them a slight touch more delicate. You know, you can make them a little bit more delicate if you choose to. I'll just show you this one. That was made with bare copper in a 20 gauge. A little bit more delicate. It's up to you. That's all you're going to need. You're also going to need a ruler just to measure out your lengths of wire. You're going to need your bail making plier. I'm going to be using a 6-step. Mine's 2 to 9mm increments, so everything I do today will be based on these. I would just grab a pair of round nose just in case you need to just sort of fiddle around with the angles of the spikes of your snowflake a little later. A Sharpie I just used just to sort of help me bend the shape around the middle. You don't need to. You can use a Mandrel of some description. You're going to need some cutters and your favourite chain nose pliers. And I think that is about it. If you wanted to hammer very, very slightly the tips, which I did on this one, you just need a basic bench block and hammer. And we'll get going. So I'll see you in a couple. Righty-ho, let's get going. Super easy, super cute. I'm saying easy. It is easy once you know what you're doing. When I was working out how to do this, it was amusing, yes, and a few words were said. Yes, a few choice words. So take your ruler. You're going to measure out approximately 30 centimetres, 30 to 32, 33 centimetres, something like that, which is approximately 12 inches, 13, 14 inches, 30 to 35 centimetres. You probably will have a little left over, but it depends on how close you get your loops, you know. I'm going to show you how to make them pretty close together, but you can, you know, sort of make them a little less close together. So 30 to 35 centimetres is all you're going to need. So let's move this out of the way. Good, so let's get going. Right, so you're going to need your ruler also because we're going to be doing a little bit of measuring as we go along. So about, I don't know, a centimetre, 2 centimetres down from the end. Good to be using the first step of my plier. Now this first section here with us having a long piece of wire might get a little bit unwieldy, but just stick with it. All right, so the first step on your plier, make a loop like that, so that you have a slight touch of an angle. Now as we're going around, we're going to be creating little angles, which you can, you know, mess about with the further along you go. So that's our first little angle. Now then, what you want to do, this part here, after each of these singular loops, you want to measure around about 1.5 centimetres from where the loop starts, which is about there, which for you who use inches is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5/8 of an inch. Okay, just along. And then you bring in your pliers. Okay. And what you want to do is to bend your wire like that, and then close it up into a little point at the end, and then separate your wires a little bit. And then when we come in with our plier, you bend this point inwards and then it bends back outwards. All right, so as we're going along, I'll just show you what I mean. So put your plier on your wire here, just so it's butted up where the point is. Okay, bend around, reset your wire, your pliers should I say, so you have this little point. As you can see here, that point is facing inwards. That's what we want. Place your plier back in like that, bend this wire and bend this wire, so that we have our first little section here. You see that? Turn your wire around so that the point is facing away from you. We want to make another one of these little loops. I have a squeaky plier, so if I'm going to have to get the oil out. Oh dear. And I know about 5 millimeters away from this hoop here. Let's just make another little loop. There we are. So that's our first point made. Now don't worry. When we come to faff around with it later on, you can move all of these things around, make them bigger, make them a bit smaller. There's plenty of scope for faffing. We like a good faff on this channel. So this is what we have. This is our first point. All right, so we'll start again. Move it that direction. And then again, we want to measure 1.5 centimeters, 5/8 of an inch from where the loop is. Hold it with our fingers like that. Come in with your plier and bend our wire towards us like this, and then bring it like this, and then we make our little pinch, just a little pinch, very, very gently. Certainly if you're using silver plated copper, you don't want to mar your wire too much, so just be gentle, she says. There we go. And then pull that apart a little bit, like so. This is what we've got. The start of our next point. Come in with your small mandrel, bend around, move your pliers, bend around, so that we have this. Okay, pop it back with the little mandrel inside the spike. I'm going to call it a spike. Start to bend that one around, always over the top. So every time we're moving this large wire here, we want to do it over the top, and bend that around. There we are. So that's our second spike. Now that looks a little bit cockeyed, don't worry about it, we can sort that out later on. Can you see how that just looks a little bit? So later on, when we formed the whole thing, we can use our round nose just to mess about with everything. Not a problem. Nothing is a problem, certainly not at this time of year. Okay, so about 5 centimeters. Centimeters, have you heard me? Millimeters, Sammy. Bend it around, over the top, to form another loop. So we have another loop here. You can see how this is forming. So let's go for our third. I mean, you know, you can make these as large or as small as you like. You can use more wire and put more spikes on if you want to call them spikes. I'm making 6 spikes just because I think that's a nice size. You do whatever you like. This is just ideas for you, don't forget. So measure 1.5 centimeters. Use your fingers, great tools. We want to bend that Sorry, wait a minute. Yeah, 1.5 centimetres. I was just double checking. 1.5 centimetres. Bend it over the top and down like so. So you have this. And then again, very gently make your point. Make your point. And then open up. Okay, so I hope you're following this all right. Yeah. Bring in your plier. And then bend it around your mandrel. Move your plier over. Bend it around your mandrel. So it's facing in towards the circle. And then pop your plier like that so that your second step is just there in the center. Start to bend that around. Bend that around. There we are. And there's our next one. Okay. So let's just do 3 more. So 5 millimeters away. Bend it over the top. Like this. Measure your 1.5 centimeters, which is about there. And then bend your wire over. And as you're going, you'll find that things will sort of feel like they're in the way a little bit, yeah? This part here you need to bend it out of the way sometimes. So don't worry about that. It's wire and it's forgiving. Don't worry too much. It will feel a little bit cumbersome in places, but don't worry. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Just bend that round like so. Back in, bend it around and move your wrist around. That's our next spike. All right, so we've got 4 here. Should we do 2 more? We might as well. There's no point in stopping the video, is there? Whoops. No point in stopping the video. We might as well just carry on. Just a short one this week. December is a busy month for most of us. I hope all your Christmas and festive occasion, sort of celebration type preparations are going okay. Mine are. I've got a house full. I've got 10 people this year, so that'll be good. All of my kids. Marvellous. Okay, so 1.5 centimetres. Again, bend over and into a spike like so. But can you see here how this is starting to get in the way a little bit? Don't worry about it. Just bend it out of the way. Make your little bit of a spike there and open it up. Open it up a little bit. If you want to use your plier to hold on to it, that's fine. All right, so this is number 5. So pop your plier in, move it, whoops, move it away like this. So that it's facing inwards. Okay, so you're just going to have to start to move that out of the way now. Pop your plier in and around the second spike, and then move things around a little bit. Can you see how we're starting to create the shape? Yeah? When it gets to this point, if you want to just chop this off, you don't need this because we are going to be chopping this loop, but for now, just chop it about there. That should be sufficient. You see, just so it's out of the way a little bit. Sorry about that. My husband came to the door and started making funny faces at my door. So anybody else have a partner like that? Yes, 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 yes. Very annoying. So I've told him off and he's disappeared now with his tail between his legs, which is the best thing for him. So here we go. So just chop that out of the way, and I'll show you what to do with that end bit in a minute. Okay, so we've just got one more spike to make. So come in and make another little loop here. Again, 5mm, give or take around. So can you see here how we've just got one spike left to put in? Now it's going to be springy and it's going to want to spring away from you. But that's all right, don't worry about it. We like a bit of a springy snowflake. All right, so the last one, we just measure 1.5 centimeters. Come in, bend your wire like that, and then make your point, and then move like that. So just move this out of the way, not a problem, and then around. So it's facing inwards. Okay, and then the last time we want to pop our plier in and then make our spike. I hope all of that made sense. I hope it did. If it didn't, I apologise. Let's just say it's the festive season, making everybody a bit cuckoo. So as you can see here, we now have this little short part here. What I want you to do here is to use your flush cutters and just create a cut just on the edge so that it creates a circle like that. Now I've found that if you just squish that down, that's completely secure enough if you're using it for an earring. If you're using it for a pendant, you can do this next bit twice, once with that small part, once with this big part, and cross over, but I don't think you need to. So what we're going to do is cut this here around, I don't know, let's measure it. I'm going to say about 7mm, which is about 1/2 inch, maybe, something like that. 1/4 inch, I beg your pardon. Just enough that you've got enough to feed it through this hole here. All right, so holding it nice and firmly so that you're not sort of creating any problems with the loops that you've just made. Just take this little guy here and just bend it slightly. You see, you just bent it slightly and pop it through that hole there. If it pops out, just bend it ever so slightly more. You want it to go through there. And when you do that, very, very carefully, come in through the back, tug it slightly and bend it over. Okay, so can you see how that's bent over? And as you're coming through the back, you'll notice here, you see, it's just got like a little hook. All you want to do is just very carefully bend the end of that hook downwards, give it a bit of a tighten, very, very gently, so that you can't see it behind the back of your snowflake. You see, you can barely see, excuse me, you can barely see that. So just come in with whatever mandrel you're using, or your fingers, or whatever. Now what I'm going to do now is just to come in with my round nose pliers, just give things a little bit of a tweak, like this. Pop your little end in, that's it. And just give things a little bit of a tweak around, just to make sure that everything's happy. That one is just slightly needing a bit of a movement there. All right, so can you see how that little section at the back that you've bent away As long as you bend it down, it's fine. No problem at all. And how beautiful is that? Gorgeous, gorgeous little snowflake for your ears or for around your neck. Beautiful. Make them as earrings. I'll probably end up making that into a pendant and maybe a matching set that I might even wear on Christmas Day. Enjoy making these. Try not to make as many mistakes as I did when I was faffing around with them, and I will see you soon. Hopefully, I don't even know what I'm doing. It's Christmas time and I'm not even sure when I'll see you again, but it should hopefully not be too long. Have a lovely time and I will see you very shortly. Thanks for watching.